Hello and welcome back to another video on the Vectra. So in the last episode I introduced the vehicle that was given to me from my cousin Lee, and I really appreciate it and I actually really like it. However, there is that little issue with the gearbox. So I was hoping it was just going to be the concentric slave cylinder, the bearing on that. So I think today what I'm going to do is I'm going to jack the front of the car up again, whip the wheels off. I'm probably going to start it up and go through the gears again and see if we've got the same noise in every single gear, and then maybe doing that we might be able to process of elimination work out what bearing it is. So I think I'm right in believing if it's in every single gear then it's the input shaft bearing, and if it's the input shaft bearing I might be able to get that done fairly cheap if I strip it all down myself. So I guess the only way to find out is to go out there and start stripping it down. That's the only way we're going to further diagnose this issue. And also my cousin Lee, he also left a comment in the last video which was all of the upgrades to the car, which I'll also leave on screen at the moment. So he's left a long list of everything that's been done to it, all the mods, way too many. I mean, when you've done the mods yourself, you remember them, but when I just read it all, I was like, wow, that's quite a bit there. It's and it has been done up, and obviously at the moment I'm not doing the car much justice with the videos and the footage. I'm sure Lee's got some great photos which I'll let a pinch off him to show you guys. But we will get it back into its former glory at some point. We just want to get the gearbox sorted out. I went ahead, jacked it up, supported it with the axle stands, taken the wheels off, and the next job will be to remove the drive shafts. And then once we've got the drive shafts free, then I can think about releasing the gearbox and dropping that, and then we can have a look and see what's caused the failure. But I want to get the drive shaft. I have seen videos and people just pull the drive shafts out and just move it all to the side, but I actually want to get the drive shafts out because I think the inner CV boots have gone. I mean, we did have the noise that was coming out from the bell housing up here, but there was also some noises coming from, I guess, like the differential, is it the final drive? There's some noises coming from in there. It's not really bad in there, but there is some noise from in there. And also there's it sounds like the knocking sound is coming from the inner CV boots. So I'm gonna have a play around, whip them out. Yeah, we'll get both drive shafts out and we'll have a look at the CVs. But I don't know, I'll try and shut up and see if you can hear any of the noises from the knocking. Yeah, so by the sounds of it, I think well, this side's the worst side, the offside, the driver's side. Inner CV boot seems to be quite loud and it has quite a bit of play in it. Yeah, the passenger side not so much. I mean, the outer joints, the outer CVs, they seem pretty solid. I don't know whether this would cause any... Well, I don't know whether this is causing that noise that you can hear through the final drive with the transfer of noise sometimes through metal. It might be deceiving where the noise is actually coming from. So I think the best bet is to actually just take the drive shafts out and we'll have a look when they're on the side. Right, let's get them out. So you just saw I released the hub nut, so that's all ready to come straight off now. Next thing is this bolt here holding on the lower arm, bottom ball joint. So we'll take that bolt out, remove the nut, take the bolt out, and then I'll be able to release the bottom arm from the hub. So the drive shafts are out, both sides, happy days. The longer one the driver's side, the shorter one the passenger side. There was a little bit of oil that came out from the gearbox, and it's because I wasn't expecting this. Well, I don't really know Vauxhalls that well, you know, I mainly work on Volkswagens, and I was expecting from the gearbox there to be some cups that the drive shaft would bolt onto, but it doesn't. Those drive shafts just go straight into the gearbox, they're splined, so they go straight in. So yeah, I'm going to block them up with some rags, but it has given me a chance to look at both drive shafts. And I think I'm right in saying that these inner CVs have a bit of play and could be causing the knocking sound. Yeah, so that's, you know, that's quite bad. Well, I think that's quite bad. There's a fair bit of play there. And on the outer CV, rock solid, no movement at all. And that's the same for the passenger side one as well, both the drivers and passenger sides inner CVs. So will we do that now? I don't think so. We'll just get the gearbox off and we'll go from there. Right, before I go ahead and remove the gearbox, I think the best thing is to remove as much oil from the gearbox as I can now, so it doesn't go everywhere, because I think this could get a little bit messy, especially as it is an open diff. Yeah, so let's get this drained out and then get the gearbox off. So as you can see, I've gone ahead, I've removed all the bolts from the gearbox. The gearbox is completely separated from the engine. I've removed the engine mounts, well, the gearbox mounts, both at the bottom, the one on the back, the one at the front. I've removed the one at the top. All the gear linkage has been removed. I've also lowered the subframe a little bit, so I've removed the bolts on this side, still kept the bolts in on the far side. So hopefully, you know, we're going to try and get the gearbox out and keeping the subframe in. I mean, that is the plan. So I've still got a few other little things that I want to remove. I think I'm going to have to remove the gear linkage, the gear selector housing unit that actually goes into the gearbox. I think I'm going to have to remove that as well. Yeah, but it's all, you can see I've just taken the weight of the subframe there, just holding it on the jack, because I wasn't too sure whether, you know, just letting it hang down on those two bolts on the driver's side would be enough. So I'm just giving it a little bit of support, peace of mind and all that, as you do. So yeah, the hydraulic clutch has also been released, and what I've done is there's a little I found a little rubber cap, and I've put a little rubber cap over the top so we don't lose any hydraulic fluid anywhere. All the bolts have been marked up, so when it comes back to installation I will know where all the bolts go. Yeah, it seems to be going rather well so far, and I don't want to tempt fate, but yeah. And that's that little rubber bung that I put over the end of the hydraulic pipe for the clutch fluid, and that seems to have sorted that out, so that's not leaking. Nice little tip there for you. And that's actually from a gas bottle, from, you know, one of those gas bottles you buy from Halfords, one of those little tiny ones. Right, I'm going to now get the gearbox off and I will speak to you in a minute. So we've got the gearbox out, done that all on my own, all on my Todd. So I took that gear selector bit out, and then we were able to get it out through this gap. The subframe is low enough, still sat on the jack there, still got the two bolts on the other side. But the plan is, I'm going to raise the subframe back up, put those two bolts back in, and then we can have a look. Oh. Well, that bearing there, that feels really shit. That needs replacing. But we'll have a look at, we'll take all this apart in a bit, and we'll look inside, but also inside the gearbox I have noticed there is a few little shards of metal in there. and I don't know how well you can see on my fingers, but that's just wiping off from inside, and there is some, well, metal shavings. Look, there you go. So the whole gearbox is covered in them. Right, let's get the gearbox in there and we'll start stripping it down and we'll have a look. But I guess that'll be for next time, because yeah, long tings and all that. Everything else seems alright, the clutch seems alright. Yeah, I don't know, we'll get it in the garage, we'll assess it. I don't know whether to get a second-hand box. I've seen a couple for 120 quid. The bearing kit's 130 quid, or a recon box for 350. We'll see. Right, let's get this into the garage. See you next time. Like, subscribe, stay safe, take care. Peace. So I was just having a look through the gearbox here, and this concentric slave cylinder, there's a lot of play in that, and it's really quite stiff. Doesn't feel good at all. So what I'm thinking of doing is removing this concentric slave cylinder and having a look, see if we can inspect the bearing behind. But there's no real play in that shaft. There's a little bit of play in and out. So if I just go, there is a slight bit of play there, but actually in final drive, something doesn't sound good. So I think what we'll do is we'll spin it over, we'll get the inspection plate off, and we'll have a look to see if there's any obvious signs of gearbox failure. Right, let's get this off, swip it over and have a look. So I've got access now to the final drive. Let me just put this down a second. So turning this all around, everything seemed to be turning, everything looked fine. What doesn't look fine is all of these shavings. There's quite a lot of metal shavings in there. I would say there's more shavings in there than what you would normally expect. But when we look inside, we get the torch on, get a light, and you can see just in there, in the differential there, all those cogs. And all the teeth on both sides. I mean, it shouldn't be sliding like that. I mean, it wouldn't slide like that if the drive shafts were in there. But you can see those cogs have worn away. Don't know how well you can see all of that. Let me try and get there. Yeah. That's really what you can see. Let me move it again. Yeah, it's all just worn away. So, I don't know what to do next. I don't know whether I'm going to try and recondition this or just actually get another gearbox. So I'm going to do some research now. We'll get online. I'm going to ring around a few places. Just up the road in Salisbury, we've got a gearbox specialist company. I'll find out how much it's going to be to sort this out. At the same time, I'm going to have a look around, see if I can actually do this myself. Otherwise, it'll be a second-hand box for 100 odd quid. Right, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time when I update you with what we're going to be doing with the gearbox, and it'll be going in as well next time on the next video on the Vectra. So Take care, stay safe, and God bless.